Sorry, Pete.
Uh-huh.
I just have a quick question. The American public doesn't seem to be very confident in your ability to do your job. Will you be resigning anytime soon?
I'm not here for politics. I'm here to make sure the community can get what they need.
Will you
I'm just
apologize?
sorry, I want to be
Will you
speaking to the
apologize for the
community leaders,
response, for the slow response, taking your
Probably
time?
one of the big things.
Tomorrow we'll be talking to more people, and of course we'll be talking to Pete Buttigieg. Hopefully, we're going to press him on some of the important issues, like why was it so important for you, Pete, to go take personal time off? What does he even do, Pete? What do you even do, Piccolo Pete, that you should be taking time off when a former president who's not even in office is going to this place before you?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for joining me today. So if you guys were here yesterday, if not, you can check that video out. I was with a reporter that was on the front lines of East Palestine telling me what he saw on the ground. And that reporter's name is Kalen. You can follow him at From Kalen. I'm Dream Rare on Instagram. Just follow me at Dream Rare. But From Kalen, he was there today and he confronted Pete Buttigieg along with Savannah Hernandez and a few other reporters. So shout out to them. They got to ask Pete some very important questions, which was cool. And it was just cool to have him on the stream yesterday. And he said, hey, I'm going to try to ask Pete this question. He really did. So shout out to Kalen, who was here yesterday. Thanks for coming. And thanks for confronting peacefully and somewhat respectfully Pete Buttigieg on, what's going on. So I'm trying to think of where to start. I'll start with the less controversial stuff because it's like when people call you a conspiracy theorist, like everything's a conspiracy theory nowadays, even if it's like basic. It's like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just not stupid, And if you're talking to a normie, everything's a conspiracy theory. And you're like, really? Are you that dumb? So it's like, you got to break it down. People are like, oh, you're just trying to be a contrarian. You just want to. No, it's just the truth, unfortunately, is not often spoken and common sense is not so common. So what I'm about to say might seem contrarian or like I'm just saying it to say it, but it's just the truth in my view of what's going on. Let's start with the basics before we ruffle too many feathers. Pete Buttigieg, I think he's incompetent. I'm glad he got asked questions. I think it was a dumb political move to not go until now, and they definitely helped Trump by letting him go there first, and it looks bad, and it looks bad because they are bad. There is no excuse for Pete Buttigieg. I don't think he knows anything about transportation. Maybe he's ridden a few bicycles in his life, but as far as, is that his career? I think he got that job because he's done favors for the DNC. And in turn, they put in lobbyists and people's families and Pete Buttigieg. And that's the type of people they put at the top of a lot of these industries. It's not always the best person who can handle it. So let me just get this out of the way before people falsely frame what I'm going to say. I'm making no excuses for the Biden administration, no excuses for Pete Buttigieg, and it's all bad. With that being said, realistically, here's a question I started asking people today because I looked it up myself. I didn't know. I said, do you know who Donald Trump, because he was there for 4 years before Biden was there. Do you know who Donald Trump put as Secretary of Transportation? That's the job that Pete's in right now. Nobody knows. Everyone goes, no, I'm not sure. No, I'm sure. You know what the answer is? Mitch McConnell's wife. That's who Donald Trump put as the Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation. Mitch McConnell's wife. Why is that important? Well, there's a few things that's interesting. I'm not going to blame this train thing on Trump or Biden. I don't think they have that much say in train tracks. Like, they're not overseeing things. Like, oh, how does this train work? They don't know. These people just sit in Washington. So to be honest, I'm not going to blame any of these people. What happened? According to the reports, something heated up, some sensor didn't work, or the person working it didn't work, and it overheated and broke, and they didn't catch it in time because these things overheat all the time. This is the official narrative. I'm reading it. They didn't catch it in time, and the train crashed. Insane. Trains crash, but this was a mistake. With that being said, I'm not blaming this on the Trump administration, but if you look at some of the stuff he did, he rolled back regulations for trains and also including emergency brake stuff. It's not his fault. This couldn't have been prevented by the Trump thing either way. I'm not blaming him. But what I'm saying is the joke is on you if everybody only consumes conservative content where it's like, oh, it's Pete Buttigieg's fault. Not really. He's incompetent. He's an idiot. He shouldn't be there, but he just got there. He's not building the train tracks. Is it Trump's fault? No. But when Trump goes to East Palestine or Palestine or however you say it, he brings water and McDonald's. Everybody's like that dumb. And not trying to be mean, but it's like, oh, wow, he brought McDonald's and water. He really cares. If he cares so much, why did he hire Mitch McConnell's wife to run our infrastructure? And then these same conservatives will sit and tell me Mitch McConnell's wife secretly works with China, or Mitch McConnell's wife's a communist Chinese undercover. I don't know who she is. I'm not saying that because I haven't done enough research on who Mitch McConnell's wife is. She's from Taiwan. She's Mitch McConnell's wife. But most Trump supporters will say Mitch McConnell's wife is corrupt and working with China. That's what I've heard on the streets. Okay, then why did Donald Trump put her in charge of American transportation for 4 years if she's so bad? It's like, it's such a dumb game. I could be like every other conservative account and be like, oh, it's all Pete Buttigieg's fault. Clap myself on the back, get a few dollars, sell a few sweaters, and keep it moving. But then this is why nothing ever changes, because Trump had corrupt scumbags in the same position as Pete Buttigieg. And I'm sure if you look at Obama's, I'm sure Obama had one too. I highly doubt anybody competent has run that position in 40 years since lobbyists took over, you know? And this is the big secret that I think a lot of conservatives and Trump supporters don't want to look at anymore. And obviously Democrats don't want to look at. That's why this game doesn't really matter. The Republican Party doesn't care when they're in office. They hire swamp creatures. They take lobbyist money. They hire Mitch McConnell's wife, and then they're out. And then the Democrats tell you, oh, once we get in office, we're going to change all this stuff. Democrats don't give a crap. Democrats are just using when they're out of power to point at Donald Trump to say, we'll do something. And then Biden gets in office, and then the Republicans play the same game as the Democrats and say, oh, if we were in power, we would have stopped the train. You were in power. You didn't rebuild the railroads. You didn't regulate emergency brakes. You actually did the opposite, and you hired Mitch McConnell's wife and let her run the show. And I highly doubt that she's the most qualified candidate. I'm guessing it's corruption and friends and lobbying. Someone's crying in the comments section, you're not letting me post. You're not letting me post. It's like driving a car and being like, you're not letting me drive. You're posting. It's just nobody cares. I see your post screaming, you're not letting me. No one's stopping you from posting. The difference is no one cares that you're spamming. Okay, so I'm not censoring you. You're just spamming, and no one cares that you're saying. Say something of value. You're not letting me post. Yeah, whatever, bro. We see it. Anyway, this is the big game. The true story is Republicans didn't really build infrastructure. They built big pharma higher than they built the wall. If they can't get, I mean, maybe the wall was like one of the only things they tried to do that they didn't have like direct connections to. But a lot of times they don't care about infrastructure unless their friends and lobbyists and family and, you know, people that they could put in office can get kickbacks from it. So Republicans built big pharma up harder than they built the wall. And then Democrats get in and they act like they're fighting big. Of course they're not. Neither party's fighting big pharma. Maybe there's like 3 people fighting big pharma, and the people fighting big pharma help big pharma 50 times and then fight them 3 times. It's all fake. And then Pete Buttigieg gets in. I'm one of the only conservative-leaning accounts that you're going to hear this from. Oh, Pete Buttigieg. So who's going to tell you? No one even knows who Trump put in that position. Mitch McConnell's wife. Someone said I'm always going backwards. No, I'm going forwards. And someone said to me on Twitter, they said, oh, a Christian doesn't know what faith is. But Christianity is not faith in Mitch McConnell's wife, Donald Trump, and Pete Buttigieg. That's not Christianity. That's like satanic demon idol worship of politicians. God has nothing to do. I mean, obviously God made all his children, etc. But worshiping God has nothing to do with worshiping Donald Trump. Like if you don't believe in Mitch McConnell's wife and all the swamp rats he put into office, it doesn't mean you're not a Christian. The Christian religion is deeper than lobbyist money. Like if I know that lobbyists are controlling both parties, I'm not a Christian now. I mean, that's like demonic, satanic inversion. Like you can't be a Christian unless you just are stupid. It's like, okay, yeah, that guy's going to say, no, the point that we're trying to put out, someone said Joy Behar anomaly. It's not even true. I'm probably more conservative on most issues than Donald Trump is. What I'm telling you is he took a bunch of lobbying money and put people like Mitch McConnell's wife in those positions. So the joke's on you. You could call me Joy Behar. You could call me. The joke is on you. The Republicans did nothing for transportation when they were in office except deregulate trains. Okay. They did the opposite of make it more safe. And I'm not saying all the regulations are perfect. Some regulations are too much, but some are in place for a reason. Like, for example, in the food industry, they regulate all the wrong things and they deregulate all the right things. So it's like you can't get raw milk, but you can eat poison and chemicals. That's messed up. I'm not a libertarian anarchist. Personally, I have some libertarian values, but when it comes to food, I'm fine with regulation if it makes sense. You can drink raw milk, you could drink natural stuff, but you can't poison people. I'm fine with that. I'm not an anarchist. So I believe in some regulations, but our government's problem in the FDA is they regulate all the wrong things. They say, you can eat food dye that's illegal in 30 countries. That's unnecessary. You can dye foods with natural ways. You don't need chemical psychotic things that they put in M&Ms, but you can't feed somebody crap. I'm fine with it, but they do the opposite. And with trains, it's the same thing. Some regulations are too many. Businesses, I'm okay with housing regulations, not too many, but it's like if you're building in a hurricane zone in Florida, I'm okay with saying you can't build it unless it's concrete so it doesn't kill a bunch of people. I'm okay with some regulations. So you have to look at the regulations that were deregulated under the Trump administration. One of them had to do with emergency brakes on trains. Could that have prevented it? Probably not. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's Trump's fault. It's not. But what I'm saying is when Trump's in office, the FDA is filled with a swamper, the CDC is filled with swampers, the HHS is filled with swampers. The Secretary of Transportation, I'm going to repeat it again for those who think, oh, it's only the Democrats hiring Pete Buttigieg. Trump let Mitch McConnell's wife run transportation in America for all 4 years. He doesn't give a crap either. You think Mitch McConnell's wife is so ethical that she's just looking out for them? Yeah, okay. If you think Mitch McConnell and his family is ethical, I have a John McCain and a Mitt Romney to sell you. Come, wake up. So that's the point. It's nothing to do with Joy Behar, The View. Those insufferable, psychotic harpies are the most delusional people on television. They're not even remotely close to me. But people are so brain dead and brainwashed in this country. If you're not blue, you're red. If you don't agree with red, you're blue. What I'm trying to tell people is there's lobbyists and special interests controlling all your favorite people. You fell in love with the car salesman. It's like a T-Pain song. He said, I fell in love with the strippers. You fell in love with the car sale. Like, grow up. It's like, oh, I'm at a strip club. Oh, I do, I'm a charming guy. I'm not gonna lie. I got some moves. So I tend to think, sometimes when women are showing me love, I'm like, I'm a smooth character. I'm like, oh, she's into me. But then that's when my boy has to tap me on the shoulder and say, no, it's the stripper. She just wants your money. And no, I'm smooth. She loves me. And even if she does love you and want to go home with you, it's like, calm down, bro. You just met the stripper 5 minutes ago. You can't be wifing up every, it's like a waitress. She wants your money. Yeah, they're nice. I'm not saying that they don't, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, just like T-Pain said, I fell in love with the stripper. It's like everybody fell in love with a politician. And then you tell them that the politician is doing what he's doing. And then they call the truth Joy Behar. Joy Behar doesn't do this type of reporting. Maybe she does. In my view, she just like harps. It's like they just poop their pants and like, what is Whoopi? Who cares what Whoopi Goldberg says? Anyway, now I'm going to get to they're like, we don't poop our pants. I'm like, prove it. Show me your diapers. Prove to me that, has Dianne Feinstein pooped her pants? And I can't prove that she has. Maybe she never has. But at that age, I would assume that Dianne Feinstein has maybe, let one slide here or there. I'm getting off topic, but you understand. It's important to know who in our country is pooping their pants on the job, because at that point, it's time to just call it quits. But the point I'm making is so much more profound than the point people want to hear. You follow 99.9% of Republican pages, and they tell you, it's the left. It's Buttigieg. They're bad. When we were in office, that's not true. They were in office for 4 years, and they put Mitch McConnell's wife in that position to hold Big Pharma accountable. They put a pharmacy lobbyist. They put a bunch of pharmacy workers to rein in Big Pharma. That's why you got everything you got in 2020. Why are we being oppressed? It's the Democrats. The reason it's happening is because it's not just the Democrats. Your guy's in on it. Your guy did it. Your guy signed it. Your guy's working with them. Why didn't he? Everyone tells me, oh, anomaly, Peter Navarro was a great guy in the Trump administration, and I don't disagree. But when Peter Navarro, one of the only real people who had no power in Trump's COVID administration, he was just an advisor, when he called out Fauci, which was the truth, Trump told him to shut up. Google Peter Navarro, Fauci, Trump, and you can see all the clips of Trump telling Peter Navarro to zip his lips. Trump's working with Fauci. The reason you can't beat the lockdown for 2 years and it takes 2 years and now vaccines are all in your face. It's because the Republicans are working with the people that they claim they're fighting. It's not that hard. Why is there so much, big pharma propaganda everywhere? Because Donald Trump gave them $16 billion. What do you think they did with the money that the government gave them? Well, I'm a capitalist. No, you're not. If I'm the only one talking about Operation War, but I'm okay with it, Anomaly, because it's not mandated, then you're a socialist, okay? You're not a capitalist. If you think it's okay for the government to give $16 billion to Big Pharma so they could propagandize the crap out of you, that's not free market capitalism. They didn't earn that money. Trump gave them that money, the administration. Why? Because he's surrounded by Mitch McConnell's wife, pharmacy. So the point that I'm trying to get to is the joke is on you if you're just talking about Pete Buttigieg. The joke is on you if you think it's just the Democrats. The joke is on you if you think that Trump handing out McDonald's and water bottles is sufficient when he had 4 years and he put Mitch McConnell's wife. What matters more? The fact that he put swampy Mitch McConnell's wife at the Pete Buttigieg position for 4 years where she did, I'm sure, nothing good. Or the fact that he showed up in front of a camera with a, keep America or make America great again hat with a podium that he brought himself that has his text message, application on it to talk for 20 minutes. Oh, but he was in office already. And this is what the parties have been doing for like 20 years now. It's like, oh, when we're in office, we'll do it. They don't do shit when we're in office, and people are still falling for it. Bob said you're crazy. You're delusional. God bless you, Bob, but you don't get it because you're caught in the algorithm. Everybody's caught in the algorithm. Well, I'm Team Red and I follow Team Red and we're fighting Team Blue. You're not fighting anybody. The people that you look up to are working with the people you think you're fighting. Mitch McConnell's wife's working with China, and everybody's. Then why did Trump put her at Pete Buttigieg's position for 4 years? Because it's like it's embarrassing. Like you'll find like 1 out of 100 Republicans likes Mitch McConnell's wife, but when Trump puts her in Pete Buttigieg, no, we won't talk about it. Okay, well, don't expect the train tracks to be fixed. Don't expect safety to be better. Come on. It's so simple. It's so obvious. So, people say, now what? So what? It's like, I don't know. It depends what you want. If you want to just like get outraged and do nothing, you could do that. What's my point? I think the point's pretty profound. The way to actually solve something is to get to the root of the problem. But if you want to just play on the leaves and on the outskirts of it, you can, I don't know, you can run in circles for 50 years. I don't personally care. I'll be fine. I'll be making good content. I'll make a business. I'm not worried if people want to waste their time and be outraged. I'm not outraged and I'm not crying and I'm not screaming and I'm not my blood's not boiling because I get the game. It's the same. It's funny. It's sad, but it's funny. It's like if you see someone on a carousel for 50 years and they're screaming at you. What's the point, Anomaly? The point is you're on a circle. If you want to be there, I don't care. It's okay. Someone said, this talk is why I quit listening to you. If you want to be on the fake outrage carousel, you can do it. But all I'm saying is if this is why you quit listening to me, that's sad because you're just as brainwashed as a Democrat. You think you're fighting these brainwashed Democrats, but when push comes to shove 10 years down the road, you're going to find out you're just as brainwashed. You've been sitting on the same carousel, running in circles, thinking you're doing something, but you're not actually accomplishing something. If you want to go in a circle for 30 years and just yell at Fox News and Newsmax and a bunch of opportunist right-wing social media do-nothing influencers who are just the new version of the lobbyists, I'm sure if Lockheed Martin and someone came around, they'd zip their lips just like the politician. They're a bunch of phonies. They're a bunch of like political, oh my God, it's just the point that I'm getting to is, okay, if the train tracks and everything they said with the emergency brakes and the infrastructure, let's look at the problem. The infrastructure in this country is shit. Okay? But the infrastructure has been shit for 20 years. Republicans get in office, nothing happens. Democrats get in office, nothing happens. But they keep tricking you into thinking when we get back in, we're going to do something. They've been doing it for 30 years. It's like, I'll give you an example that won't hurt people's feelings because it's bashing the loser Democrats. But when I talk to liberals in California, I talk about the homelessness, which, by the way, I could make a 3,000% better in a month if I had the power. I truly believe I could fix homelessness because it's not that hard. But in general, when I talk to a liberal, they say, oh, the reason there's homelessness, Anomaly, is because Ronald Reagan took away the mental facilities 30 years ago. And I tell them that might be true and that might have been a bad idea. But guess what? Democrats have been in power in California and especially Los Angeles for 30 years. So what are you just going to talk about Ronald Reagan forever? Even if Ronald Reagan did start it, that fire has gotten out of control, and it's the Democrats' fault because they've run the state for 30 years. So you can't just use Ronald Reagan as an excuse for your whole life and be like, oh, Ronald Reagan's the reason we have homelessness. No, he's not. Okay. He might have done a few wrong things. He probably did a few right things. But the point is, Democrats in California are the problem, not what Ronald Reagan did 30 years ago. If he did that wrong in 1992, why didn't you fix it in 1995? Why didn't you change the law in 2000? Why is it 2023 and you're still crying about Ronald Reagan? It's because the Democrats just use Ronald Reagan as an excuse, and they have no solution for homelessness, and they do the opposite in every way. Instead of making it illegal to be on the streets and cleaning it up, they make it illegal to move the people, so it just keeps growing. And there's a multifaceted approach, but I could fix it. Anyway, now fast forward to the Republicans. If you really think that this whole thing was a disaster because of transportation, do you think in 1.5 or 2 years that Pete Buttigieg, not Mitch McConnell's wife that Donald Trump hired for 4 years, not Obama's, secretary, like not Clinton and Bush's secretary, the infrastructure of America could have been fixed in 2005, 2010, 2015. Trump could have fixed it. And the truth is, they don't give a shit. Trump hired a bunch of shills, every position, HHS, FDA, Secretary of Transportation. Trump did not hire a MAGA hat wearing conservative patriot from Alabama who knows the trucking industry to run transportation. He hired Mitch McConnell's wife. Trump is no better than Biden in that position. Pete Buttigieg and Mitch McConnell's wife are probably the same level of incompetent and corrupt. I would think Mitch McConnell's wife is probably more competent, but more corrupt. I would think Pete Buttigieg is less competent, and it's like pick your poison. So it's, if you want to just think that the train tracks and the infrastructure is like just now and Biden, you're dumb. Yes, Biden sucks. Yes, he shouldn't be in Ukraine. Yes, he shouldn't be giving money there. You know how much Republicans gave to Big Pharma? 16, 18, 20. Once you start adding it up, $30 billion. I don't even know, of socialist money. They did a socialist scam scheme, the Republicans, to give Big Pharma money. It's not capitalism. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, they didn't just do this. They got government socialist money. You got scammed by the socialist Republican Party. Oh, but I don't want to hear that. Well, then run on the carousel for 50 years. I don't want to listen to Anomaly. I don't care. There's watch comedy, watch, you don't have to watch me, but watch something of value. Don't just sit there and crap your pants to Newsmax and Fox News, because these people aren't doing anything. They're running you in circles with fake outrage, and they actually capitalize off the outrage. It's like Democrats like Trump, even though they hate Trump, because Trump brought attention to their news outlets, but now they're imploding because they don't have Trump. Trump's like their baby binky. It's like, as much as they hated Donald Trump, I bet you CNN wishes he was still there, kind of secretly, because their news outlets failing because they have nothing to talk about and nobody trusts or likes them without the Trump thing. Rachel Maddow is like the only psycho on TV that people actually watch for some reason. But in general, it's the same thing with the right wing. Do you think that without all of this nonsense that I'd have something to talk about? I think so. I mean, it might not get as many clicks, but Lord knows I could talk my ass off. And I talk about stuff all the time that's not really totally mainstream or normal. Do you think most of these conservative influencers would have anything to talk about if they couldn't just point to the left all the time? No. So in a weird way, people like the Democrats like being out of power so they could point and be like, this is what we do in power. And then once they get the power, now they have the power. They don't do shit with the power. And the Republicans like to be able to point and say, oh, I would do that. But the difference with Donald Trump and other Republicans like DeSantis is, although I'm not saying he's going to do the right job, assume that DeSantis is going to do nothing. But Trump was actually in office. So when he points at Pete Buttigieg and all this and says, oh my gosh, like I would do better with this. No, you wouldn't. You were there. That it's like George Bush saying, oh, if I had 8 years, I'd keep us out of wars. You did have 8 years and you didn't keep us out of wars. So that, like, no, it doesn't even make sense that people are falling for it, because Trump actually was there and you could tangibly look at what he did and who he hired. So, but I guess people are really that dumb. I don't know what to say. It's like, I'm looking at my Twitter, people I thought were smart were like, oh, I was off the Trump train, but he had water and McDonald's and now I'm sold. It's like, is that really all it takes, is water and McDonald's and a camera and you're sold? Then get some water and McDonald's in the camera and go to East Palestine. People give you money. Are you broke? Who's broke out here? It's a hard recession. Get water, get McDonald's, take a camera, upload it on social media, and put some sort of fundraiser and watch your income triple. Because I guess that's what people, that's what they want. I'm not saying you shouldn't help. I'm just saying that's nice. It's better than Biden. Pete Buttigieg, it politically is dumb for taking so long to get there. With that being said, bringing McDonald's and water after you were in office for 4 years and let Mitch McConnell's wife run transportation, like that doesn't mean that much. I guess people just like words. I'm trying to figure it out because like when Obama was there, that's what Republicans told me. Like, oh, Obama's a really good talker. And it's true. If you watch old Obama videos, he's a finesser. I wouldn't say he's the smoothest, but he's smoother than Biden. So, he'd be like, okay, I'm Obama. Okay, I don't like guns, but I do like guns, but I won't take your guns, but I'll kind of take your guns. But like Obama was a bullshitter. He was a good bullshitter for the Democrats. Bill Clinton was a good bullshitter. Bill Clinton was probably further right in some things than Trump. On crime, everyone's like, oh my God, Bill Clinton's racist because he gave people 3 strikes. Okay, that's racist. It's like you think Bill Clinton was racist for going too hard on crime, yet you're mad at Democrats now for not going hard at crime. Which one is it? Do you want the jail cells open, or do you want people who screw up 3 times to go to jail? I get it, but it's like everything's a political fight. It's like I get it, but this is why nothing changes. Like, so in general, Trump is a good bullshitter too. He's a great bullshitter. He's like, I'll do better, even though he did it, and 90% of the base actually believes him. It's like the whole reason that I mean, I'll give you 2 reasons that I like DeSantis more than Trump. One, he hires better. Trump hires terrible. DeSantis has already made better hires. So I'm hoping if DeSantis gets in, maybe he'll hire better. But here's the thing. He's taking a lot of donor money. Maybe DeSantis won't hire better. Maybe he'll do the same thing that Trump did. He'll talk a big game, and once he gets in that position, the lobbyists and the special interests swarm DeSantis just like they did Trump, and then DeSantis folds just like Trump folded. Maybe that's true. That's why I'm not, when people are like, oh, you're DeSantis for DeSantis, it's like, no, I don't care if you criticize DeSantis. I hope you do, and I hope you hold him accountable because the chances are he'll turn in to a Mitt Romney, if you don't watch him. You can't just go by their mouth. You got to go by their actions. But the point that I'm making, then you got people saying, well, DeSantis is sold out, but Trump's the anti-establishment. That makes even less sense than thinking DeSantis might be. My thought process with DeSantis is he's been better on Big Pharma, fact. He hired better with Joseph Ladapo, fact. And since DeSantis hasn't been there, I'd rather roll the dice with somebody who might hire better than let Donald Trump back in office as somebody who clearly doesn't. So it's like people are like, oh, how could you? And I'm fine with people saying DeSantis is going to sell out. Trump is. That's fine. I'm not like defending DeSantis, but it's like people are like, DeSantis is corrupt, but Trump's anti-establishment. Bro, look at everybody. HHS, he hired a pharmacy lobbyist. FDA, he hired a guy who went to Pfizer. Secretary of Transportation, where Pete Buttigieg is, he hired Mitch McConnell's wife, Bill Barr, Christopher Wray. You can't name a good person outside Cass Patel, Ben Carson, who barely did anything. But it's like his whole cabinet was filled with swampers. But he's like brainwashing Republicans into thinking he's not that person. Because just like Republicans say Obama talks and Democrats fall for it, Trump is the Republican Obama. Just like Obama lies to Democrats and Democrats fall for his rhetoric, Trump is the same guy. He's better on foreign policy, I think. He did a better job. But when it comes domestically and all this stuff, if you don't think what I'm saying, like if you don't see the fact that he has a single Republican been like, okay, Trump, here's like what a real journalist would do, which apparently doesn't exist anymore. But it's like, Trump, thank you for coming to East Palestine. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate it. Thank you. But you got to be respectful. Thanks for bringing water. You didn't have to do that. Thanks for bringing McDonald's, even though you could have done something better, but that's fine. I'll eat a Big Mac with you, whatever. But here's a journalistic question that you won't find a single Republican besides me who ask. You say that this is Pete Buttigieg's fault, right? And Biden's fault, and it's so corrupt, and you would have done better. But when you were in office, you hired Mitch McConnell's wife, and you rolled back regulations on emergency brakes. So how could you say that it's just their fault when you were in office, you were rolling back regulations and hiring corrupt people? Do you notice that nobody asked Donald Trump that question? It's all a game. Like Dick Gregory used to say, it's a game. It's a big game. It's WWE for adults. If you don't want to watch worldwide wrestling, or you don't have, if you're not into Pokemon or Star Wars, everybody has their thing that they're into. Some adults just watch Donald Trump and Joe Biden and Rachel Maddow and the Harpies at The View, and they pick a character and they think that their character's so much better. People who watch The View say, oh my gosh, I mean, they're really sticking it to the right. And people who watch like Fox, oh my gosh, they're not sticking it to anybody. They're all working together. The same lobbyists are controlling them. And I'm not telling you hypothetically, maybe it happened. Do you think Mitch McConnell's wife was the #1 candidate? Oh, she'll really know what she's doing. No, it's all backdoor deals. Donald Trump took hundreds of millions of dollars from donors, whether you realize it or not. And when you take money from donors and PACs and lobbyists and Pfizer and Bank of America, like Trump did, you have to do some favors for the people who funded you. So I'm sure, just like Mitch McConnell rubbed Donald Trump's back, Donald Trump put his wife in office to give him a favor back. The same way that Biden gave Buttigieg the job. You feel what I'm saying? The solution is when people wake up. But if people never wake up, it's just going to keep happening, because everybody loves to use something as an opportunity. And I'm not saying this was caused, but I will say when a school shooting happens, the Democrats hop all over it to try to take guns away. I'm not saying they're causing it. I'm just saying in general, they exploit tragedies. Like, oh, this tragedy sucks. Something bad happened. How can we use it to try to take people's guns away? And now emotions are high and people will fall for it. Everybody uses tragedies. So here's a tragedy that happened in East Palestine, and Trump uses the tragedy. And just like Democrats use gun control to gain leverage during a shooting, Trump is using this, but he's just as complicit as Pete Buttigieg and Biden. He didn't do jack shit about transportation, and he hired a bunch of corrupt people. But nobody wants to look at it, because just like the left falls for the take away the guns, we could save lives, the right falls for this bullshit. It's the same thing. It's just right-wingers are more right about most topics, and left-wingers are absolutely insane, can't run a city. That's why I'm a registered Republican. You can call me Joy Behar, lie to yourself, but I'm still going to vote for these losers, because these losers are better than those losers. But the difference is I know they're losers. You think they're, people are questioning my Christianity over the fact that I say lobby. Like I said, like Mitch McConnell's wife was Donald Trump's Secretary of Transportation, and that's just what it was. That's a fact. People say, oh, you're not a Christian. You have to worship a politician and lie to yourself in order to be a Christian. Like, you're not following the Bible. You're following like the Trump. It's like a new religion people made where they're like, in order to believe in God, you have to believe politicians are God. In order to believe in God, you can't talk about lobbying money. It's just like left-wingism turned into a religion. They're so brain dead. They don't even believe in any. What do left-wingers believe in? They don't believe in God. A lot of them, not all of them. They believe in hating Republicans. So their God is like climate change, and their God is Pfizer, and their God is Fauci, and their God is whatever idiot comes on left-wing television. They've created a new religion around just hating Republicans and conservatives. And their God, their actual God, has been replaced with fake politics and fake tragedies. And on the right, people will question, and I don't care, like, oh, people question my faith. It doesn't bother me, but it's just hilarious to me where it's like, you think believing in lobbying money makes you a Christian? Like, you're not a Christian unless you don't realize that lobbyists are controlling both parties. It's absolutely ludicrous. I'm not a Christian because I know that Trump put Mitch McConnell's wife. Does anybody here like Mitch McConnell's wife? Is there even one person in my stream who likes Mitch McConnell's wife? Probably not one. Maybe like 3 out of 900, 1,000, whatever. But that's who was running it. Like, she's not as bad as Pete Buttigieg. Oh, but it's different. It's different because you're brainwashed. It's different because you're the right-wing version of the left. It's different because just like they get fooled that way, you're getting fooled this way. And people have egos, so they don't want to let it go. I get it. I don't care. It's not going to affect my bottom line. It's not going to affect my integrity reporting. I'm fine with it. It's not. I'm not hurt. I'm not crying. I get where the country is going. And, whether the country's here or here, you got to make it in this world. Nobody's going to wipe your butt, whether Clinton's in there, Biden's in there, or Trump's in there. Like, at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself, your moves, your business. That's just how it is. So people think I'm like pessimistic. I'm not. I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? I'll work hard. I'll get taxed. I'll watch cities go to shit just like everybody else. I'm not thrilled about it, but I see the writing on the wall. But what I'm trying to say is if you stay on this carousel, this fake game, it's just going to keep getting worse, and you're not going to realize that you're getting tricked by your people. You get what I'm saying? It's like if a gang was walking in to a club to commit a crime, and you're like, oh, the security guard's on my side, but the security guard's secretly working with the gang. And it's like, oh, that's my boy. He's got my back. But the security guard's just pretending to be your friend, but he's working with the gang that you think he's stopping. That's the Republican Party. That's Donald Trump. He's in on it. But no, he's not. I don't want to hear it. Anomaly's lost his mind. I'm fine. Okay. It's just, this is the reality of it. You won't hear from a single other person who isn't that important? If Biden's been there for 2 years, these train tracks, these shitty trains or whatever they're doing, these corrupt corporations that are skirting the law because they want to make more money, whoever you want to place the blame on, whether it's Buttigieg, the train company, Biden, I don't care. Do you really think our infrastructure and train problem is only a year old or 2 years old? Is that really what you think? Really? You could lie to yourself to be team right. Do you really think it's a year? No, this has been happening for decades. This country's wearing down. We don't build anything anymore. We'll send money to Ukraine. We'll give money to big pharma. Just like Biden gave $50 billion to Ukraine, Trump gave $30 billion to big pharma. Imagine if Trump gave $30 billion to rebuilding train tracks. You think this wouldn't happen? He doesn't give a shit, just like Biden doesn't give a shit. But you fell in love with the car salesman like T-Pain fell in love with the stripper. So me telling you the stripper doesn't love you, dude, she loves me and I love her. It's like you just met her 10 minutes ago. You're wasted. Stop. She's not even that hot. It's the same thing with Trump. Like people don't want I don't care. You can keep running in circles, this election is going to be ugly. This election is going to be really, really ugly between Trump and DeSantis because DeSantis hasn't even talked about Trump yet. Trump is calling him a pedophile. Trump is calling him a meatball. It's kind of funny, but kind of childish. Trump is talking hella shit, saying he's got the donors. DeSantis hasn't even started yet, but it's not that hard to push back on Trump when DeSantis wants to, if he ever does, because Trump also took these donors. Trump also sold out. It's very easy to point out and say, and once you point it out, people realize it. So, it's not that it's going to get wild in the Republican Party. Like, if Trump's calling DeSantis a pedophile and the election's not even until next year, you don't think it's going to get crazier than this? It is. And guess what? I don't care. DeSantis, Trump, I think it's a little not the best strategy, but who cares what I think? That Trump is Trump, DeSantis is DeSantis, they'll do what they'll do. But as far as all this stuff, I'm just trying to inject into the narrative, like, here's what you're not doing. Because if the right can just say it's the left, if the left can just say it's the right, no one ever gets to the core of what's going on. It's part of the strategy. Let's get out of office. Let's say they did it. Let's get back in office. Let's empower all the lobbyists again. Let's get out of office. Let's blame them. Let's use this tragedy. Let's blame them. Here's a school shooting. Here's the guns. Here's a spill. It's Buttigieg. I got McDonald's. I got water. Why is there not another influencer that's smart enough or honest enough to be like, okay, Buttigieg is terrible. Who did Trump hire? He must have hired someone really good, right? Since he's like, oh my God, this is bad. He must have hired an outsider, right? It's Trump. He must have hired a MAGA hat wearing train conductor. Oh no, he hired Mitch McConnell's wife. And if you look at everybody Trump hired, it's all the same. That's all he did. He's a car salesman. But people are like, that's why they do it. I don't know. It's like complaining about the Kardashians on television, but it's the #1 watch show. At a certain point, I'm going to keep it really raw right now. Everybody would be like, it's the elites. It's the elites. They're selling what you're buying. If you want them to stop selling bullshit, stop buying it. But the liberals love it. And the right, they act like they don't like it, but they like red bullshit. Liberals eat blue bullshit and it's dyed in blue and they act like it's freaking Lucky Charms. And Republicans eat red bullshit and they act like it's a McDonald's Big Mac in the White House. So, is it really the elite's fault when you want that? Is it really the Kardashians' fault if people keep watching it? If you buy it, they'll sell it. So if you want them to stop selling bullshit to our country, stop buying it. But here's the thing. Left-wingers don't want to stop and right-wingers don't want to stop. You don't get it, Anomaly. The right-wing are fascists. You don't get it, Anomaly. Okay, then you guys can keep fighting and the lobbyists will keep controlling the nation. Oh, you're Joy Behar. I'm Joy Behar because I'm saying lobbyists are controlling both parties. They are. No one's fixing the infrastructure. Maybe they'll build 1/4 or 1/4 of a wall and leave a huge hole so it doesn't matter. Wasn't the point to build the whole wall? I understand it's not that easy with freaking lawyers and stuff, but it's like, wasn't the point? We have 4 years. Let's build a wall. Can you take down the Israel wall? Does Israel need to rebuild the wall every second? No, because they actually built a wall with probably our money that we send them all the time because it's anti-Semitic not to let them steal our, or take our money. Whatever. You get what I'm saying? It's like, do you have to even think? No, Israel has a real wall. We don't have a wall. He tried to build a wall, but it doesn't matter. He didn't finish it. There's a massive hole, and now millions of people are coming into the country. If Republicans actually built a full wall, there wouldn't be any holes, and it would be a lot harder to break into the country. But it's like, whatever. Yeah, we're really doing it. Just 4 more years. It's going to be 2090. People are going to be drooling with a red hat. Like, it's like they sell bullshit because people buy it, you know? Someone said Trump could have done executive orders to build the border. I think so. It's like, here's what I'm going to say about the last Republican administration, too. Unfollowing for the truth, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I have over almost 1 billion views. My following keeps growing. My engagement's through the roof. I'm one of the only ones saying this. So I'm like a piece of gold in a crap store. So no matter how many people unfollow, I still grow because people want to hear this stuff. But in general, when Republicans are in office, before you unfollow, listen to what I'm about to say. So even though you hate me, you could take what I'm about to say and use it in your life. Okay, so listen to me before you unfollow. When it comes to doing the right thing, Republicans are like constitutional Republicans, and they're like, "Oh, we can't do the wall because we can't do this. We can't do this. We have to do jail reform." You know, they don't want to overstep their power and look like fascists. They're like, "Oh, we can't do it because of DACA. We'll let the kids." You know, they don't do anything when it comes to what they said they were going to do, as far as like use their full extent of the power. We're powerless. We can't do it. It's Congress. But look at the pandemic. Trump had no problem declaring an emergency for Bill Gates in the universal executive order that Bill Gates told him about in 2018, the universal flu vaccine executive order. He didn't wait for Congress for that. The lockdown, the emergency declaration, Operation Warp Speed, the CARES Act, the $1,600 communist Trump checks when they did universal basic income under the guise of a pandemic. All of a sudden, Republicans, when it comes to bullshit, they don't mind being communists and socialists when it comes to big pharma. They don't mind being communists and socialists when it comes to universal basic income. They don't mind being communists and socialists when it comes to liability for COVID vaccines. But when it comes to building your wall, all of a sudden they're like little ninnies, like, oh, we don't know how to do it. Oh, bullshit. I mean, they don't do it because people actually buy this crap. Yeah, they don't have the time. They don't have the power to build the wall, but they have the power to give $30 billion to Big Pharma and give them an emergency shield and lock down the country for 2 months and then say they never did. Oh, wow. Isn't that interesting? They have the power to do all the wrong things, but they never have the power to. They're lying to you. Grow up. I have a little Trump binky. I have a baby bottle. Mitch McConnell. I love that. It's like, Jesse Waters told me that, you know, Greg Gutfeld made me. It's like, yeah, you know, oh yeah, man, they're this close to getting the Democrat. Dude, it's a freaking game. It's a joke. It's so obvious. They don't do anything in full when it's the right thing to do, but they somehow have the power of Joseph Stalin to lock the country down and give Big Pharma money. They built Big Pharma higher than the wall, and their base loves it. It's like Democrats. It's like this like sadistic, you know, like sexual cult or something. It's like, spank me harder, daddy. You know, you put a mask on a liberal, you like deplete them of vitamins, tell them to sit in their house all day and just suck on dust until they get sick 7 times. And Democrats love it. Maybe it's some sort of sexual sadistic kink that I don't know about, that Democrats are like, hurt me harder, daddy, government. Like, Democrats love being scammed by the government. It's like, you put a mask on them, you deplete them of vitamin D, you know, they're sucking up dust. They got 5 boosters, they got 6, 7 times, and they're like, oh, even though my arm doesn't work, I'd still get another one for Pfizer. It's like, am I missing something about the left? It's like a sadistic sex cult where they just love being like abused by the government and they think it's good. They're like, I love wearing 5 masks and getting 16 injections. You do? Why? Why do you like that? And then on the right, it's like a Trump sexual. It's like a fetish with Trump. It's like, oh, you know, they printed trillions of dollars. They went full communist. They don't do anything they say, but I love them. It's like both sides that have Stockholm syndrome. They're like addicted to their overlord. It's like, And then nobody even knows what I'm talking about because they're so brainwashed. It's like, you don't like socialism, right? No, 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 no. We're Republicans. We hate socialism. Right, right, right. You don't like communism, right? Oh, no, dear no. Communist government, we're all about free market capitalism and patriotism and freedom. Right, right. Okay, you're against universal basic income, right? Like we can't just print money and give everybody a little bit of money. Of course not, Anomaly. We're patriots. We're Republicans. We don't believe in universal basic income. That's communism. We don't believe in that because once you give everybody a little bit of money, you know, the money supply is going to get destroyed and inflation is going to go up. Right. Do you remember the Trump checks where he gave everyone $1,600? Oh, but he had to. It's like, why do you think the money supply is fucked up? Excuse my language. It's because Republicans and Democrats were in on it. You think this is just Biden? You're as stupid as somebody who thinks it's just Putin. Or like it's the same game. It's like, here's the red version of the fake game. Here's the left wing version. I must be right because I'm not. You're both wrong. Trump did like the most communist thing you could do, which was print $1,600 checks and give everyone a check. That was the biggest scam in modern history. Oh, but I needed it because of you needed it because the government shut your shit. That's communism. We take all your shit away and then we give you government money so you're dependent on government. It's communist. The lockdown, communist. Operation Warp Speed, communist. The Republican Party is a socialist communist party, and you still think they're doing capitalism. Where? Now they are at 2 years later, but when push came to shove and they had power, they became Karl Marx's little baby mamas. But you don't see it. That's why they're never going to stop. They brag about it. Listen to Tim Scott. Oh, Tim Scott should be president. Tim Scott's a loser. He's a loser. I'm so proud of the CARES Act. It's a socialist communist scam. Why are you proud of the CARES Act? That was the scammiest exchange of wealth in modern history that ushered in the new COVID era that destroyed millions of lives. And you're proud of that, Tim Scott? It was bipartisan. Yeah, and people were like, oh my gosh, Tim Scott is such a good guy. And then like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, howdy y'all, I'm Sarah Huckabee Sanders and you should get the Trump vaccine. I'm going to write op-eds to try to convince Republicans to get the Trump vaccine. Yucca, yucca, yucca. And people were like, oh my gosh. Wow, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is it's like, oh my gosh, dude. Whatever. If that's how people want to do it, I'm gonna just make fun of it because it's too obvious. It's like every week something happens, it's obvious, both sides are in on it. The right just takes the most basic milquetoast angle that doesn't get to the bottom of it. Everybody just like gets clicks. The left wing like says something crazy. They're like, I'd rather drink toilet water than drink a Trump bottle. Well, then you're a psychopath. Just drink the Trump water. It's like, you know, Trump water, is it the best water you've ever tasted? No. Is it better than drinking East Palestine freaking water? Probably. You know, liberal, just drink the Trump bottle, okay? Shut up. It's like both sides are just retarded. I'd drink my own shit before I drink a Trump bottle. I'm a Democrat. It's like, why? Why would you drink your own shit before you drink Trump's water? Like, what? And then you got the right. They're like, well, it's just the Buttigieg. I mean, no one else would do that. It's like, they already did that to you. What are you talking about? Like, no, they never did socialism. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. It doesn't count if I don't pay attention. It's like, if I close my eyes and ears, it never happened. It's like someone slapping you in the face and being like, my eyes were closed. It doesn't count. I didn't see it. It could have been anybody. It could have been the wind. It's like, it is sad. It is absolutely sad. I have to make jokes about it because I'm not going to live my life in misery. It's like, you know, even if you're at war, like you can't just cry. You can't just sit in a foxhole and be like, you just have fun with it. You know, like life is what it is. Like, you know, I can't change anybody. But someone said the Biden administration's not sending help. Yeah, but what can you really do to send help? I mean, I'm not defending them, but it's like the point is this shouldn't happen and we should take preventative steps to make this from happening again, or else it's just like tragedies happening and what can we do to fix? It's like, yeah, let's send some help down to the school after a bunch of kids get killed. Like, yes, that's nice to send help. You shouldn't wait too long, but like, what if we prevented it? And I don't think gun control prevents it. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like, it's too late now. Like, what do you want? Water bottles? You know, here, what? I'm sure there's thousands of people sending water bottles. And the truth is, listen, if I thought I could do something to help, I would absolutely help East Palestine. But I don't think they need water bottles right now. Maybe they do, but I'm sure there's thousands of influencers there taking selfies with water bottles to tell everybody how great they are. So it's a nice thing to do. Would you still be there if you couldn't film yourself doing it? I don't know. But in general, it is what it is. Like, that's nice that it's nice that Trump went and gave water bottles, but is a water bottle going to stop you if the air and the water's polluted and you're showering in it? No. So maybe, if people really wanted to help and it really was as bad as people are thinking, maybe there's a bigger solution than just having a selfie stick and handing out a water bottle. Maybe, the government or somebody should buy however many people there in East Palestine, buy a water filter for their shower so they don't have to shower in this crap for the next couple months. Like, obviously the Biden administration sucks. My point is this: I'm not making excuses for the Biden administration. They suck. But it doesn't matter if they suck if your hero sucks also. So it's like suck, 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 and you're just on a carousel of suck. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, yes, the Biden administration is garbage. They're in Ukraine. They deserve to be booed and shamed and absolutely mocked out of the White House. But when your people get back in, nothing's going to change. They don't care about you either. You just think they care. So, once people figure that out on the right, things will actually start to develop in the right. This whole DeSantis-Trump fight is going to be another fake fight. It's going to be Trump accusing DeSantis of all the shit he did. That's what he's doing already. He's like, DeSantis is a meatball. You also kind of look like a meatball, Donald Trump, but that's fine because he's Italian. He's a meatball. You look like Trump looks like a meatball with a little shiny marinara on it. Sorry, hold on. I just dropped something. Okay. And then he's like, DeSantis closed the beaches. Like, are you suggesting you didn't do that? Like, what? Like, DeSantis sold the vaccine. Didn't you sell the vaccine harder than Bill Gates and Fauci? Like, DeSantis took donor money. Your donors that you took last time and you hired Mitch McConnell's wife and a bunch of losers. Like, everything, it's going to be a whole fake fight where Trump brainwashes 50 million people into thinking he's fighting things that he actually did himself. And it's going to be a whole fake thing. And no matter who wins, it's not going to matter. It's like, I'm saving myself 2 years. I don't care that much. Like, if DeSantis wins, cool. If Trump wins, cool. If Rand Paul wins, a lot cooler. But I don't see it happening because people don't get it yet. So it's like, it's like, whatever. If people wake up, things will change. If people don't wake up, it doesn't matter who wins. Trump and listen, it's easier. I don't know what they do to people. Do they take them in a back room and give them like the Stanley Kubrick treatment or something? I don't know what they're doing to these people, but it's like, no matter who gets into office, by the time they actually do something, like Trump, to give you an example, he said, I'm making a mini documentary. I'm not finished with it, but he said, I'll never take anybody's money. And that's why a lot of people liked him. He's so rich, right? Trump's so rich. He doesn't need donor money. And why is that a good thing that Trump's so rich? Because the media would say, oh, it's so bad that Trump's so rich. He's out of touch. It's like, well, yes, but also no, because if Trump's so rich, he doesn't need anyone's money. That means Trump can't be corrupted. That was like a huge draw to Donald Trump. One of many, but one of his big draws was like, he doesn't need anyone's money, so he could just talk shit and do good things without taking money. But in reality, Trump took all of the money. He took more money than Obama and more money than Biden when it came to inauguration money. Trump took over $100 million from donors. He took money from Sheldon Adelson, the biggest donor, and the results show what Trump did. He took the money, and that's why all this, like, I'm solving a mystery for you. You should be thanking me. The people mad, thank Anomaly and say, thank you so much, Anomaly, because you're like, I don't get it. Trump's this outsider, but everyone he hires sucks. It's because he's not an outsider. He took the money. It's a fact. Trump took the money. He didn't use his own money. He used donor money. Some of it was raised by you. A lot of it was raised by Sheldon Adelson and Bank of America and Pfizer and all these other scammers. So the reason I'm going to solve the mystery that no one seems to be able to figure out, the reason Trump hired a bunch of swampers who hate him, like Bill Barr, Christopher Wray, I don't know anyone, close your eyes, pick somebody that Trump picked. They're a swamp rat. They might as well have been hired by Obama. Why? Because Trump took the money. So if DeSantis is taking all the money, DeSantis seems great in Florida, right? He seems great. He might end up just like Trump ended up because he's taking all the money. And if you take, I don't know, over the course of 2 years, like $2 billion or $100 million, what do you do when you get the money? You got to do something. If someone wants to pay me a couple $1,000s or whatever, and I like their thing, I'll sell their thing. You know what I'm saying? Why? It's a transaction. Yes, I believe in it. I'm more ethical than these losers, but it's still a transaction. I'm not out here. Sometimes I have products I like, but if you see me do an ad, I got paid for it. That's just a fact. That's why I sell my own hats. I'm making money off it. It's my business. But in general, it's like when you pay someone $10 million or $5 million, or Sheldon Adelson gives you $100 million, It's a transaction. I know what Sheldon Adelson wants. Sheldon Adelson apparently is one of the biggest funders of the Israel trip too. So when I say this, I'm not being anti-Semitic, I'm being factual. The reason Trump passes legislation for you can't say this about Jews in Israel is because the Jewish donor who loves Israel and funds more Israel trips than everybody gave the GOP hundreds of millions of dollars. And if you're the number one donor, like the Adelson family was for the GOP, you get what you want. I'm not being hateful. It's like rockets. It's like basic common sense. It's not rocket science. Like, you know, if you get $1 million from Pfizer, you do something for them. If you get $4 million from Bank of America, you do something for them. Next thing you know, you turn around and your, cabinet's filled with Goldman Sachs and Mitch McConnell's family and a bunch of swampers and Pfizer people. Why? Because you took the money. So that's what I'm saying with DeSantis. I like DeSantis more than Trump now, but I'm not asking people to softball DeSantis, because if DeSantis is taking that much donor money, he's going to end up just like Trump did, just talking a big game. They're professional salesmen. It's like Mike Lindell. Do I dislike Mike Lindell? No. Is he a salesman? Yes. Are his pillows the best? Does Mike Lindell have the best pillows? Does he get the best technology and the most expensive stuff? Probably not. He probably gets, I don't know how cheap it is, but he just sells it like it's the greatest thing ever. I'm sure there's better material to make pillows, but it's all about the sale. That's what a politician is. I'm not saying they're bad. Their job is to sell you that they're doing something when they're not. That's what they do. Trump is just really good at it, but he's just the same. He's proven that. So easy. But if people don't see it, we can play this game for the next 30 years. It is what it is. Democrats are a problem. I'm not like, oh, they're so, no, they on a local level, they're insane. They don't know how to run a city. They don't know how to run a state. I'll continue to vote for Republicans. You could cry and call me Joy Behar. You're not going to scar me emotionally. I'm not, what's that guy's name? Joe Walsh. He's like, I hate Trump so much, I'm a Democrat now. It's like, dude, that guy's got an ego. It's like, you don't have to like Donald Trump, but like you went from Tea Party Republican to freaking Democrat, the Joe Walsh guy. Yeah, that guy's a mess. But like, you're not going to like shame me into being Joe Walsh. I'm still going to vote for these Republican losers because it's a better option locally on a city level and on it pretty much every level. But that doesn't stop the fact that nationally they're not doing shit. So I'm going to still say it, whether people like it or not. Someone said he is proven point. Joining the dots is just easy to watch. I don't know what you're saying, but Anomaly should honestly look at the upset that Trump's election caused with U.S. allies. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about all of our allies. Like, oh, they're such good allies. Like Canada's an ally. Yeah, they're cool, but Justin Trudeau needs to stop dressing like Native American Indians. It's like, grow up, dude. Justin Trudeau's my best ally. Is he really though? Locking down his country, acting like a psychopath, dressing up in blackface. He's like, look, mommy, I'm black now. It's like, Justin, like, can you just stop? You're going to be president one day. We're going to install you. Mommy, look, I'm an Indian. Look, I have a thing on my head and I do dances to Punjabi music. It's like, Justin, you can't be dancing. You can't be dressing up like Indians all the time. You're a liberal. And everybody knows liberals are offended by everything. It's like, that's my ally, Justin Trudeau. I like Canadians. They're cool. But I don't care that Trump pissed off our allies. Who cares? But I get what you're saying. It's like, that's not my... Like, oh no, our allies are mad. Well, maybe our allies suck. Maybe they need to be mad sometimes because they're not that great. Let me see. That's the point. Anomaly, the enemy of our enemy is our friend. I mean, you could tell yourself whatever you want, but at the end of the day, like here, I'll give you a conundrum and I don't have an answer. I'm not giving you this to like trick you. I'm giving this just to give you some facts. Okay. Donald Trump, fights with China and like, I'm not going to say fights because I want to word it better. Trump with America is at odds with China economically, right? They're having an economical battle. Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. So are George Soros and China. George Soros doesn't like China. You might think because China's communist and George Soros is similar in his ideology in many ways that he must be with China. But China is a national communist. They're not necessarily interested in the same socialism that the left is in America. So whether you realize it or not, there are not all, but a lot of Democrats and people like Soros, they're at odds with China. So here's my question, and I don't know the answers. Like, who do you like better, George Soros or China? Because Trump's going at China. George Soros is going at China. Are you on George Soros's team? Because Trump and George Soros are both fighting, quote unquote, China. I don't know. Like who's the enemy? The enemy's the friend. Like which one's what? Like what? It's like with Russia. Like we're fighting Russia, but sadly, Putin cares about the nuclear family more than American politicians. So like, is the enemy our like? Who's our? I don't know who our friend is, but these type of things are happening all over the place. I just want to say in American politics, I think a lot of people can't cope with the fact that the hero narrative for Republicans isn't quite true. So they are like, oh, the reason he hired Fauci was to keep his friends close and his enemies closer. No, it's not. Then just let Hillary get in and be like, oh, we're letting Hillary in to fight Hillary. Keep an eye on her in the White House. You don't want to keep an eye on her in the White House. You get what I'm saying? People are like, oh, Trump gave $30 billion to Big Pharma to fight pharma. He's got to help them to fight. He's not fighting shit. He's helping them. So it's like, people just need to cope with the fact that their party sold out. And instead of being like, oh, yeah, they took the money and they sold out, they're like, the only way to stop Pfizer is to give Pfizer money. You got to give money to fight the fight. It's like, no, that's certainly not happening. Geopolitically, I don't know. It's like, what would happen if, what happens if America wins against Russia? What happens if China and Russia win against America? These are massive economic flexes going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not at full war with China because we need China and China needs us. It's like, we're like gay lover, not literally gay lovers, but I don't know. It just sounded funny to me. It's like, it's like, we hate you, but we love you. It's like, we don't, oh, we're fighting. We're not really fighting China because we get billions of products from China and China gets billions and trillions of dollars from us. So we're like fake fighting. We're like, but also, here you go. Like, here you go. Here, and like with Russia, like, but here, we need your oil. Like, it's like, yeah, we're fighting. Yes, we do. But we're also working together. We're not dependent on America. Like, where do we get our pills? China. Where do we get our stuff? China. Like, if China stopped giving us goods, a lot of Americans would die. If America stopped buying Chinese goods, a lot of Chinese people would die. So in order for Chinese and American people to survive at this stage, we're interdependent on each other now. That's why it makes sense to get away from that slowly or quickly. So if, God forbid, something did happen, we don't have to lose, but right now it's like, it is quite there. It is kind of like, it's like very passive aggressive and very like stupid. Like, here's my spy balloon, AKA my weather balloon, AKA like, what is the balloon? I don't know. Like, that's what we're doing now. Here's a balloon. Here's a cheap product made in China. Here's $1 billion. Here's some oil. Like, wow, cool fight. But Soros doesn't like China. Trump doesn't like China. China doesn't like Trump and Soros. So it's like, that's the triangle of like, who's your friend out of those two? Who would you rather side with, China or Soros? Like, I'm not saying I have an answer. It's just like, these are the games that are going on to some extent, because certain people want to push the country in a certain direction. But I've come, and you don't have to agree, but I've come to the conclusion, really realizing who's running the Republican Party, really realizing who's running the Democratic Party. And to me, it's like Democrat is like full-blown implosion. Republican is like slow implosion. So it's like, I don't see it as like Republicans going this way, Democrats going this way. I've done a lot of research. I've spoken a lot. I've read a lot. I've watched a lot of videos, etc. To me, it's like Democrats are taking the country like that and Republicans are taking it like that. So when people say, oh, I don't want to listen to Anomaly, that's fine. I'm not, you have to listen to me. You don't have to do anything. You could never listen to me again. I'm sure you'll have a fine life. You don't need me. I'm not necessary. But in general, I'm suggesting, hey, Republicans, instead of going like slowly down to hell, why don't we go that way? And people are like, oh, geez, Joy Behar. Oh, yeah, I'm Joy Behar. Like, because people think Democrats are going like this and Republicans are going like this. I have come to the conclusion after 6 years of research, tens of thousands of hours of research, that Democrats are going that and Republicans are going that. I just want to go the other way. So I'm sorry if that comes off wrong. I don't think Trump is going the right way. I don't think the Republican Party is going the right way. But if you think they are, then, if things start to, but that's why, if things start to get worse, it's like, oh, it's the Democrats. Oh, it's the Democrats. Like, kind of, yes, but also your party's driving that train. Like, sorry to use that analogy now, but that's what's going on in my view. It's just harder to see, I guess, if you don't want to see it. I don't even watch TV because when I watch TV, it's all fake. Like, it's like a proxy war. It's basically like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's like if I just stole $100,000 right out of your safe or something. I just stole the money and I walk away, and then I just put like two people, like two dogs in the room, and I'm just like, and then like Fox News comes on and they're like, the red dog stole your money. And then the blue dog, and then you give MSNBC, the blue dog stole your money. You tell the Republicans the blue dog stole it. You tell the Democrats the red dog stole it. Anomaly, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. It wasn't the blue dog who stole my money. It was the red dog. Anomaly, it's the red dog. Guys, someone else stole your money. I'm just trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're doing. They're taking everything, and then they put a red and a blue dog, and yes, the red one's slightly better, on whole, but it's really not getting there. The job will not get done. The mystery will never be solved if you just think red dog better than blue dog. Someone else took all the money from the safe, and neither dog cares. They're like, that's the truth. But if people don't want to believe it, it's okay. And certain people are so predictable to me, like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, right? I agree. I watched a video of Ben Shapiro the other day. It was on gay marriage or something. I thought his answer was good. And if his kid was gay, what would he do? I thought his answer was very kind and fair and like straightforward. I agree with Ben Shapiro pretty much on that topic of what he said. I listen to Ben on domestic policy sometimes. I agree with him. But like when Ben is on the wrong side, in my view, of the Ukraine war, and Mark Levin is, I'm not shocked because I know who these people are. I don't know them personally, but like, I get it. I've seen people will call me hate this and hate that. Oh my gosh, you hate that. I don't hate anybody. I get what they're about. And it's like, when push comes to shove on certain topics, your favorite person is going to be a psychotic vaccine salesman working for Big Pharma, or they're going to be pro-mandate, or they're going to be pro-war in a foreign country, because they don't have the same values as I do, and they don't have the same interests as I do. And in some cases, it's religious, and it's like I wouldn't say an ethnic thing, but it's like if you have a bunch of Muslims in a community, I try to use this example. It's like, I don't have any problem with Muslims, but if they all move to like Dearborn, Michigan, and Dearborn, Michigan gets more Muslim, it's not a surprise. That's what happens when Muslims take over. It's like, what do you think? You were going to get not Islam? You're going to get Islam. You let 95% of Islam take over a country, you're going to get Sharia law. Maybe you want it, maybe you don't, but it doesn't matter. That's what you're getting when that happens. It doesn't make you a hateful person. That's just the reality of it. So it's like when certain people do certain things, I understand why. You could say, oh, Anomaly, you're Islamophobic if you say that if 95% Islamic people take over, it's going to be Sharia law. It's not Islamophobic. First of all, who even said what I wanted? Islamic people watch my channel and they're like, hell yeah, we do Sharia law. That's what we want. You degenerate weirdos are so disgusting. Sharia law would be better. Other people say, we don't want Sharia law. It's bad. It's not our religion. But the point that I'm getting to is it's not hateful to say that that's what those people would do if they had that type of power. It's the same thing with certain people of another thing that I can't talk about. I don't hate them, and it's not a monopoly. It's not like everybody agrees on the same thing, but I know I've listened to Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro enough to know where their loyalties lie and what they are. And I've gone into the religion and gone into the ideology to understand that there is certain components to it that a lot of people don't even know about, So I'll choose when to share the knowledge that I've accumulated with people that want to actually hear it versus people that say I'm hateful, because I'm not hateful. I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with thinking that or thinking that. It's just like, let me give you an example. If you have a Christian community and you love Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and you run Little Rock, Arkansas, I'm just using an example, and everybody there's Christian, they say, we love Jesus Christ. We don't think he's a prophet. We think he's the Lord and Savior, and we want to keep it that way. And then Muslims come and take over the media, and Muslims come and take over the thing. You're going to lose that, and they're going to say, no, Jesus is a prophet, and we're going to go our way. So does it make me hateful to realize that? But it's like, if you want America to work this way, and I'm not blaming Muslims for America. It's just like an easy, simple example outside of something. I'm just saying, like, That's just how it works. So if certain people use media and everything seems a certain way that's not your religion, not your culture, there's a reason. It's somebody else's religion and it's somebody else's culture, right? If you're seeing like demonic Sam Smith Satan stuff, that's not Christian. That's antichrist. That's like satanic. It's demonic. So what is that? Is that just, it's not random. None of this stuff is random. You know, somebody's writing that song, somebody's writing it out, and either they have no religion and they're atheists, or they have a blasphemous religion that goes against your, it's like none of this stuff is random. Like, oh, we just, no, it's like, that's what happens when these type of people take over these type of industries. And when this political party takes over this city, they implement this law. When this religion takes over this industry, they do it this way. It doesn't mean you're hateful. It just means you're observant. But long story short, I'm very analytical. So I see certain people and I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised that they said that or did that. And people are like, well, I am. I thought they were on my side. Well, that's where you went wrong. You know, it's like, it doesn't mean you have to hate them. It doesn't mean you have to stop listening to them, but it's worth understanding things. And on that note, let me take it back to the homeland real quick. I'm not saying you have to hate Donald Trump. I'm not saying you can't vote for Donald Trump. I'm not saying you have to like Ron DeSantis. I'm not saying you have to make excuses for the Biden administration. But until you realize what Trump did when he was in office and why he did it and all the shortfalls of why they really happened, you're not going to fully understand what actually happened. You know, so it's like it didn't randomly happen. He didn't randomly, you know, Trump randomly hiring bad people is like about as laughable as saying like that town turned into Sharia law randomly when 99% Muslims came there. It's not random. Muslims moved there. They made Sharia law. Bing, 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 bing. The Muslims are happy. The non-Muslims aren't. Some probably would still be happy because possibly Sharia law would be better than like psychotic, demonic liberalism. But that's a different story. In general, then you go to, you know, like, oh, you know, Trump's great, but he just randomly hired 99% people. Dude, talk to any freaking CEO. You know, I've been having meetings with a company. He hires 70 employees. You think if he hired 70 bad employees, he'd play the victim and be like, I'm a great boss. The only problem is I hired 70 bad employees, and out of 70 bad employees, 68 of them were bad. It's the boss's fault. Only Donald Trump has brainwashed conservatives into thinking a boss can hire 99% terrible people, but it's everyone else's fault. It's Bill Barr's fault. It's Mitch McConnell's wife's fault. It's Mitt Romney's fault. Trump endorsed Mitt Romney. Trump is the problem. That's who Trump is. Trump doesn't give a shit about you. Trump took lobbying money. Trump hired bad people. He's going to continue to do that because you play these stupid games and be like, it didn't randomly happen. He took the money, he sold out, he surrounded himself by swamp creatures, and now he's a WWE character acting like he doesn't know why it happened. Oh, I hate Mitt Romney. You endorsed Mitt Romney. I hate Mitch McConnell. You endorsed Mitch McConnell. You hired Mitch McConnell's wife to be the Pete Buttigieg of your transportation administration for 4 years. You hired a pharmacy lobbyist. You took Pfizer money. And his audience thinks, oh, it all just happened. It didn't happen randomly. I just told you how it happened. It's the same as saying it's random that this community went Sharia law. It's just random. It's not random. It's random that this community has crime. It's not random. It's a multitude of things, including the culture, the families, what people put up with. Oh, you know, people say, oh, you know, LA is just dirty because it's not the Democrats, it's the big city. Well, why isn't Tokyo dirty? Well, because Asians are rather Japanese, to be more specific. They're not that degenerate. Maybe in other ways they're degenerates, but in cleaning, they're clean people. They clean up for themselves. They have respect for their community. In some ways, that's not great because then they all wear masks and go full like, you know, commie COVID psychos, which isn't good. So it's like there's pros and cons to certain Asian cultures, but it's not random that Tokyo's clean. There's a reason because it's filled with Japanese people who actually clean up after themselves and it's cultural and they don't not do it. You're not allowed to not do it. Nothing's random here, okay? So that's all I'm trying to say. The same analogy that I'm saying, if 95% Japanese people moved to LA and everybody else moved out and LA became clean, even though it had the same amount of people, it's not random. There's a reason. So it's not random that Trump's administration was all against it. I told you why. He took the lobbying money. He sold out. He worked with the swamp. He still works with the swamp. But because he showed up with McDonald's and water bottles, it's going to change because Pete Buttigieg. That's the game. I don't think I could have explained it any more clearly than I did in the last 5 or 10 minutes. I'm pretty pumped with that because this is not like written or you get what I'm saying. I don't have this prepared. I just thought of it on the fly. So the solution, because then there's going to be people spiraling because when you put your faith in man instead of God, and when you put your faith in car salesmen instead of Christ, or whatever you want to do, even believing in yourself or your family is better than that. But anyway, it's like when you put your faith in politicians, and I say this sort of stuff, people spiral. You're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh my God, because they've put their godlike faith in a car salesman. So now they're panicking because their whole religion has now turned into worshiping this guy instead of their Lord and Savior. So you'd be shocked at how many people are like, but if you don't believe that politicians are gods who are here to save planet Earth, it's not that shocking of a revelation that lobbyists control both parties. So the solution is simple. It's just like, stop thinking they're going to do that. And the second people stop buying what they're selling, they stop selling it. We're not victims in America, okay? Just like we tell Black communities and conservatives will say, oh, you're not the victim, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Same with us. We can't tell everybody, oh, you're not the victim, but I'm the victim. You're not the victim, but Trump's the victim. You're not the victim, but Bill Barr made him the victim. The election's the victim. Trump's also not the victim. Trump's responsible for like 99 out of 100 things that happened to him, but he's the victim because he tells them. It's the same thing. We are not victims in this country. He's not the victim. Everything that's happening has been earned, not just necessarily by you, but by us as a society. Tokyo's clean because that society on a whole cleans up after themselves. LA's not clean because the politicians suck and that community on a whole doesn't clean. It's that simple. LA is not suffering because they're victims. LA's suffering because the quality of people, the quality of culture, the quality of family, the quality of community, and the quality of politician has gone down. There's millions of great people in Los Angeles. I've lived there. I'm not saying people are bad, but let's look within. We dropped the ball. This is terrible. This is disgusting. It's not Trump's fault. It's not Mitch McConnell's fault. It's LA's fault. It's a personal problem. Clean shit up and keep it moving. It's the same with American Republic. Everybody, oh, we're the victims. You're not the victims. This country's falling apart, and it's a two-party system, and neither party gives a crap. This party's going that way. This party's going that way. Do you want to acknowledge it and go up, or do you want to play the game and just spiral towards hell? That's how I see it. I don't put my faith in a man, and I'm not being a downer. I'm not being, oh, I'm so controversial. I'm trying to just get clicks. This doesn't actually get clicks. It does the opposite of getting clicks. My favorite live streams get the least amount of clicks. Trust me. Big Pharma stuff gets more clicks, but then also my stuff gets deleted all the time. But long story short, it's like the solution is, faith, in my view, faith in God over man, and then just, standing up against it. If you have a boss that's corrupt on a small scale, hold on, I need a water. My voice is getting hoarse, but I did a lot of talking today. If you have a boss and you have 100 employees, right? And I mean, let's just use the vaccine as an example, because that was like I felt like that was like an analogy in itself that could have been a lot better. If one person says, I'm not getting the vaccine, and 99 people say, I'm getting it, they could mandate it. But that's why I was so mad at Huckabee Sanders and Trump for selling it so hard. Even though they weren't mandating it, they were playing into the system. We needed 50% of the nation to say no, or else it was going to get bad. So anyway, it's like if half the workforce comes together and it's like, we're not going to do that, it's over. But the problem is it's always like one guy on a plane, one guy, and 99% of people go along with it. So that's the political solution. The personal solution, God, yourself, your own stuff, The political solution is you can't put God-like faith into a man. Not DeSantis, not Trump, certainly not Rachel Maddow or Joe Biden, but it's really not any better to put it in Trump. It's just as blasphemous, just like a better actor and a slightly better policy. So the political solution is when enough of the Republican Party understands what I'm saying, it all ends. It's that simple. It's like a boss saying, you're all going to work for $0 an hour and you have to. And everyone says, I guess we have to do this. This is the only way it is. It's the only way they're one shop down the street. But then when enough, like 30% of the 40%, whatever, a small, like not even half of the workforce comes together, congregates, says, okay, we're getting bamboozled here. We got to stand up to our boss and be like, we know what you're doing. You're doing this like weird game and tricking us psychologically. But like, and when 40% says, we're not doing it, the boss can't run the business without you. Now it's over. That's the political solution. Like, they need your money. They need your support. They need your eyeballs. They need your attendance at the rallies. Without that, they don't have anything. All these politicians get your vote, your attention. What's a Trump rally? It's filled with people like Trump. Who donates to Trump outside the donors? It's the people. That's what it is. Who watches Fox News? Republicans. Is it better than MSNBC? Sure. Does Tucker deserve a lot of praise for some of his segments? Absolutely. But you get what I'm saying? When enough people say, and you don't even have to be a dick about it. Some people will tell you, "Oh, you have to be outraged. You have to be." You don't. The people who are mad are the people who are lost. You know what I'm saying? If you have faith in God, you're not mad. There's nothing to be mad about. This is life. If you actually believe the Bible, Revelation shouldn't even be shocking to you. So if things start getting worse and worse, it's not ideal. I'm not telling you to lay down and take it, but it's like it shouldn't be a surprise. But in general, it's like, you get what I'm saying? The people that are like, "Oh, I'm mad. Be pissed off, be outraged." No, don't be mad. What is being mad do? Oh yeah, go in a boxing match. Go get so mad. Oh, I'm so mad. Do you notice that the boxers are never angry? Because you can't be angry. You're not effective when you're angry. You have to be alert, aware, not emotional. You don't want to be angry at this stuff. The people telling you to be emotional are the ones running you in circles on the carousel. You don't have to be mad. You don't have to go out in the streets. Half the time it's a trap anyway, like the certain event that everyone got set up at. But in general, the solution is like, just stop playing along. It's like, if they're selling it and you're, well, I have to buy it because the left's going to do this. They're running in. The second you stop running in circles and everybody stops running in circles, the whole game changes, right? But the problem is, if it's only me and like 5% of my audience, and we only have like less than 1% of the movement, we're nothing. There's going to be, for every person that's saying what I'm saying, there's going to be 1,000 people saying, "Be mad, be outraged, run in circles, be the victim." We're not victims, but blame it's the left. It's like, that's why nothing changes, is because for every person saying my message, there's probably 1,000 Republicans saying, "Be outraged, be mad, buy my merch, yell at the left, and we'll get them next time." And next time never comes because they're in on it, or they're just not smart enough to report reality. I don't know. Yeah, being angry, it's like, dude, life is always tough. I mean, it's also perspective too. Are you grateful? Do you have anything to look, like it could be worse, could be better, could be worse. It might get worse. So then if it got worse, it's like, shit, I should have enjoyed then when it wasn't as bad. So in general, there's no, in my view, like, oh, we're going to get all mad. To me, that's what January 6th was. It was like, who's emotional, who's mad, who's aimless, who's gullible. And that's who got set up at the Capitol. That's just my opinion. Some people might got mad, but the reason I didn't go, besides a few reasons, the main reason was like, I didn't trust Trump because he was selling the vaccine too hard. I wasn't writing him off. I still wanted him to win the election. I still was on his side from like November, December. But the reason that I didn't want to go to the Capitol is like, I don't trust this guy. He sounds like a big pharma puppet. Like, he just keeps talking about Moderna. To me, I'm like, I kept telling people, like, I'm not going to what is it, a vaccine rally? No, it's an election rally. Good luck, So in general, who got set up the hardest at the Capitol? People who were angry, people who were emotional, people who were honestly brainwashed and thought that something better was going to happen. People that want to take a selfie at the Capitol for Instagram and go in for their audience to show how they're not doing crap. It wasn't a real insurrection. It was like a freaking, how many people can role play for Instagram and act like they're bigger patriots than others? And those are the people who got set up. So it's like, that's a perfect example of, like, you could say, oh, I'm a bigger patriot because I did something stupider on January 6th. But in my view, it's like, no, they just took advantage of emotional, angry, upset people that were completely aimless. It's like, it's like the right-wing version of what the left does. Like, let's just get people all riled up and then throw them somewhere and, get some feds probably there and just like tell them to do things. And hopefully we'll get a couple hundred to do stupid shit. And then we'll arrest them and use it against the whole movement for 2 years. I mean, that's what it's like. It's not like a revolutionary thing. It's like, they did that. Like, some people did stupid shit. Most people did nothing. And then they used it to the Democrats' advantage and put a freaking wall around Congress for 2 years and role played like it was 9/11. It's like, and some people will say that was so great. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but it's like, to me, that's what being emotional and angry and upset gets you. It gets you lured to a wrong place where you don't really have a plan. Like, what are you angry? Like, oh, we need the Democrat. We have a what? Like, if Biden wasn't there, Kamala would be there. If Kamala's not there, Buttigieg would be there. It's not like 3 people are the problem in this country. The problem's deeper than that. So we have to maintain our composure. We have to build the future. You know what I'm saying? I think schooling's a big one. Like, how many teachers are liberal? 80%, 90%? Conservatives having babies, looking at schools, fixing certain things. Like, I mean, it's a long solution, unfortunately, but like we got to look at solutions. Like, yeah, you could get so angry at Joe Biden, but the problem is way deeper than Joe Biden. He's incompetent. Don't give him a pass, but it's not like, oh, if Biden wasn't there, it would all go away. No, it's embedded in everything. So even Daily Wire. I don't like Ben Shapiro. I think he's sneaky. I think his foreign policy sucks. But, business wise, I think they had a really good year showing that you can create a media company. I thought What is a Woman was interesting and very a huge success. I mean, they're showing you, even if you hate Daily Wire, I don't hate them. I just think Ben's sneaky. But anyway, it's like, that's a good business model to show you can build something. There's a lot of people building stuff. It's not easy. It's not cheap, but in general, it's like, if I could do what I've done, I know you can do what you've done because I did it. I can't speak for how Ben started or who funded him or how that partnership happened. I don't care because it didn't stop me. Ben Shapiro never stopped me. Jeremy Boring, I've never even spoken to him. But you get what I'm saying? It's like, even if you don't like something, like, oh, I don't like Anomaly, I'm not stopping you. I'm not Susan Wojcicki, I promise. You can do it. If I could do this, you can do something. If you really have a better message and you want to work as hard as me, you can get somewhere. So we all got to play our part. And to me, that's the solution. Not getting angry and emotional. It's like, we got to be the media. We got to be the music industry. We have to be the schools. Teach your own kids if you don't trust the schools. That seems like the right solution. And that's it. And then in 30 years, the country will look different. But how is it going to look different? Is it going to go that way or that way? Getting mad for 20 minutes on a street corner is not going to do anything. I've gone to protests. I like protests. I think some protests are effective. And honestly, I think they're fun. I think they're very self-serving. I get to go, take pictures, talk to people. And even the value there is important because I get to have conversations in real life, which I enjoy much more than text. So I like protests. Don't get me wrong. But I don't even think protests are that important. That's just my personal thing. I don't think they do that much. And I think in this world where we're facing this like pseudo-communist government with lockdowns and shit, I think it becomes more and more almost not worth it. And I'm not saying not to do it because I think a peaceful protest is good. But like, you get what I'm saying? It's like standing on the street for 6 hours isn't going to do anything. I did lockdown protests. Everyone said, oh, Anomaly, that makes you the real deal because you showed up for the lockdown. And what I think was even bigger than the lockdown was the fact that I really was that guy in my personal life. For example, if I went to a lockdown rally and just did nothing, it's like, who cares that I stood on the corner for 8 hours? I'm not saying that it's not good, but I think more impressive than me showing up to actual lockdown protests was the fact that when I went in restaurants and people tried to do stuff, I confronted it in my own neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? That's my community. It's not, yeah, I'm the internet guy. I'm making videos. I'm educating people. I'm getting millions of views. That's also important. It helps. You know what I'm saying? I think I helped a lot of people. But what I'm most proud of is like the fact that I really was that guy. It's like if you saw me making a scene at a restaurant and like, oh, he really does that. You know what I'm saying? He's not just a talker. I'm like, because I'm trying to liberate my own community. I really mean what I say. If they're oppressing my neighborhood, I care about more than anything. Like, yeah, I care about everybody, but I try to walk the talk, and it's like I'm gonna try to liberate my area because that's where I live. Just like if I'm talking to you and you hear something, it's like at the end of the day, when you turn your computer off and I turn mine off, I'm where I am, you are you are. It's not selfish. It's just reality. It's like, yeah, my kids are kicked out of school. That's more important than what Anomaly's saying or what that person's saying. Like, that's your kids. That's your school. That's your life. These are your, that's just how it works. So, I think protests serve a point, but I just don't think they're that important. I think even bigger than a protest would be like, creating a massive documentary. But there's certain events that do change the course of society more than anything, like the George Floyd thing, like that. For however that happened, like that type of thing changed reality more than anything I've ever seen. Like that clip turned into those riots, turned into those laws, turned into those statues. Like that was a real life moment that just got huge. January 6th changed the course of time too, in multiple ways. I mean, in my opinion, it was like, it's definitely historical. It was a historical moment. People got arrested. Democrats kind of got some leverage and used it against certain people, but it was a moment that had an impact. It passed certain things, but to me, the George Floyd, out of any like thing that happened in person, and if you really think about it, it almost feels like they were setting Republicans up. I mean, everybody already thinks this, but it's like George Floyd happens, right? Tragedy, people are pissed off, riots, killing, burning, and then things kind of go in the favor of the left, right? Like, I'm not saying no one got held accountable. Apparently, I started reading the news recently. People have been held accountable for what they did on I'm sorry, at the George Floyd protest. Not everyone, but they have arrested people. They have charged people. I know people think that no left wingers got arrested. That's not true. They do. But in general, society was in favor of the rioters. It's just what happened. So then everything went their way. You know, the election went their way, the favor went their way, the polls went their way. So I feel like they were almost conditioning Republicans to think that that's how to do it. Because it's like, well, you know, if the left does it with George, and I don't personally, I don't work for ESPN or NFL, so I could say this without having to lose my job. I think the BLM riots were worse than the January 6th. I mean, January 6th had political implications, which isn't good. I get how people could think that that's worse, but I think that the George Floyd riots were way worse, which is what an NFL coach said, and they took his stuff away. They're like, here, take my money. I don't work for the NFL. I believe that. That being said, you know, all these right wingers are stuck at home. Nobody has anything to do. The election's sketchy. We're waiting all night. It seems like Trump won. They're counting votes for 3 days. Like, you know, mass mail-in ballots. And subconsciously, we all saw that the George Floyd riots, although highly illegal, highly messed up and deadly, you know, helped society move in the favor of Joe Biden and liberals. It helped Joe Biden win the election. It helped, you know, liberals get their policy. So I think subconsciously, a lot of right-wingers thought, not that I would say 99.99999% of the people there did nothing violent and most people did nothing illegal. So I'm not making the equivalency, but I am saying it feels like they program people to be like, well, you know, they freaked out and did crazy shit and, you know, got their way. What if we did that at the Capitol? You know, I truly believe some people thought that. Not everyone did crazy stuff. Some people just wanted a selfie and a moment to look cool. But I think a lot of people got programmed like, well, how did the left change society? Well, through the George Floyd thing. Is this our George Floyd moment? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing this for Trump and the vaccines. What's his name? Grandpa Moderna, the vaccine salesman. And, you know, it's like, I think people thought maybe like, oh, if we do this, like the left did this, like maybe we'll get something from it. And like, it's like, no, the society still hates you. The media still hates you. And they're not, you know, they're going to do the opposite because they don't actually like you. And life is not fair. And DC police, you know, it's like, it didn't work for sure, in my opinion. But I could see why people thought it might, because it's like, oh, like George Floyd got a bunch of statues. Think about how crazy that like there's been so many amazing Black Americans that have done so much, and all Americans of all races. But, you know, it's like, you're making a stat. How many statues did they make of George Floyd? What message does that really send? If you're Booker T. Washington, kids, and you're like one of the greatest Black people in history, like maybe you'll get a few statues. But if you're George Floyd and you know what I'm saying, you get 20 statues. Like, you get what he's like the new Martin Luther King, which makes you want to really question what really happened in those years. If he's the new Martin Luther King, who was Martin Luther King? You watch my interview and my podcast with Chad Jackson of Uncle Tom 2, the documentaries. He'll tell you what he thinks of Martin Luther King. It's wildly interesting. He's saying that Martin Luther King wasn't who they said he was. So it's like, you know, these type of things really make you wonder, where it's like, no matter how great you think George Floyd was, like, is he more important was he a better American than Booker T. Washington? No, he was just, it was a moment. It was a moment that changed society, but not for the better. You know, I don't think he was like a great, like, what, you know? And then you get in trouble for saying that, but everybody gets what I'm saying. It's just, it's weird how impactful that was. And those statues are going to last for as long, like they're erasing our history and like replacing it with like George Floyd statues. At least a lot of the Black people from the past were kind of like, did something, but I don't know. I mean, MLK was a nice guy, a smart guy, a well-spoken guy, a fantastic orator, but was he really, you know, did he really help? You know, was he really on the good guy side? That's to be, you know, if you haven't heard, listen to the Chad Jackson interview, because Chad studied it for years and he knows a lot more than I do about it. But All right, I'm gonna take off, folks. That was longer than I expected. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Yesterday, if you're watching my live stream, it was like my phone kept ringing. It's like someone was complaining about noise. It was like 9 o'clock. I'm like, I'm just talking slash yelling at my computer. Like 9 o'clock, really? What are you going to bed at 9? Whatever. But you get it. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll have a lot more live streams soon. A lot of exciting stuff coming up. I'm gonna get back to my full workflow, but I'm floating around the idea of I'm meeting with somebody, or I met with somebody, and imagine what I could do. I'm just gonna lay it out there real quick. Like I gather all my stats when I have meetings and stuff just to kind of like present, because like you see my follower count on here and stuff. But on Facebook, we got almost 1 billion minutes watched. So I have over 1 billion minutes watched, 500 million views, tens of millions of views. Instagram, my Instagram's blowing up. It's been huge. Where it's like I've maxed out. I'm not saying I can't keep doing it, but I've maxed out what I could do with low quality. I've gotten 500 million views with very lo-fi quality. What would happen if I partnered with the right media company? I'm not talking CNN. I'm not talking Fox News. I'm not even talking Daily Wire and these type of people. No offense. I'm just like, they have the technology, but it's just not the right fit. I have friends that work at Daily Wire, nice people. I know, to be honest, I know people at every company at this point, because people hit me up, say, I work with TPUSA. I like you, Anomaly. Kaylin's from TPUSA. Drew Hernandez is from TPUSA. Savannah Hernandez from TPUSA. All great people, all great reporters. But in general, I might try to strike a situation where I have high quality cameras. Instead of having to metaphorically slave over my computer, I'll have editors. I'm not going to change my content. I'll never let someone control me or what I say. But what if I had great cameras, possibly a live podcast that you could come to, a whole team behind me that wouldn't stop me, only kind of help me? So we'll see what that deal looks like. Maybe I'll get a Crowder type deal, and then I'll record phone calls and pull a Steven Crowder. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But in general, we'll see what happens. But someone said stay independent. I could. I've done a lot. But to be honest, I'll just be real with you guys. We always talk about here community, family, etc. I mean, I'm 33 years old. I've worked really hard. In my 20s, I wasn't really thinking about family or anything. I was just driving. Now, obviously, I want to meet the right person, get serious, but I'm not in a rush because I don't want to pick the wrong person. But in general, community, I work by myself. My life is good. I have friends and stuff. My life is excellent. But, I've been to certain places where I've seen what they're building, and it's really exciting, right? And right now, I'll just be 100% with you guys. Like, I don't need any more fame. That's not appealing. I don't need to go on a place, oh, you'll blow me up. I get recognized almost everywhere I go. So it's not like I want to get more famous. That means nothing to me. Making something, having fun, enjoying life, etc., community, and even finances. I'm not going to lie and be like, money doesn't matter. It does matter. If you don't have money, you have to work somewhere else. If you save up enough to have a retirement, you can retire. Money does matter to some extent. You shouldn't be a total sellout, but it's like, I'm not interested in the fame, but making good projects, etc., is fun to me. And I've been at 2 companies where I walked in and I'm like, this is next level. Like, it's cool to have employees. It's cool to have a whole set and an atmosphere. So I'm looking at the place now. This is like, yes, I could keep doing my own thing. Yes, I could keep building. It's very strenuous. I think I work harder than most content creators. I put out most content. I edit everything. I make the thumbnails. I do the videos. It's a lot. I'm 33. I'm gonna get burned out eventually. I can't do what I've done through my 20s and 30s forever. Doesn't mean I'm gonna stop or slow down. But if I could partner with the right people, where they take the cameras, they won't take creativity away from me, but they'll just do stuff that I can't do to a level. Better cameras, better quality, better everything. Same stuff, just like way better, looking like a television show. It's a possibility. And also community, because this company has dope people there, dope energy, just like a lot of cool stuff going on, a cool community. And right now, I have friends and stuff. It's not like I have no community, but I wake up in the morning whenever I wake up, and I'm pretty much working from my house. My apartment is a mess by the time I'm done because I'm pouring coffee, I'm working. My apartment is my studio. So if I work a 10-hour day, 12-hour day, I don't even leave the house sometimes. Even though I live in SoCal, it's like the sun. Sometimes I don't even see the sun because I'm working so hard. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to work, but it's like things can get a little stale and repetitive. I still have fun. I'm still grateful. nothing's wrong with it. But it's like, years of just working from your own house. It's like doing Zoom calls, like it's not as fulfilling as going to an office. Yes, it's nice to be by yourself, but at the end of the day, it's like, how long, what am I going to make videos by myself forever? I could. Someone said, get a real house, bro. Yeah, but it's like if you have a wife and family, et cetera, it's one thing. Still, though, it's like, do you want to, when the pandemic happened, you see people like domestic, child, like fights are up. It's because people are not meant to just sit in the house all day. Even if you have a house or a family there, it's like you're not meant to sit there all the time. You still got to go, still got to move. You got to surround yourself in different circles. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a house or an apartment that you just sit there. So we'll see what happens. But, I'll be, I think that they seem pretty serious about giving me an offer, and we'll see what it is. We'll see what it does, and if it makes sense. But that could happen. And really, what I'm thinking, just on my end, the only thing that would probably change, we'll see, but like just quality. I mean, right now, this is not ideal. I just have my laptop, but this is kind of crappy quality. Crappy. At my place, I have a better mic, better camera. It's good, but I could make it way better if the mic got even better, if the cameras got even better, if it turned into like a real show. Live tickets, I could do stuff like that, build stuff, create documentaries. I'm working on a documentary with Epic Times right now. I'm not getting paid for it, but I don't care. It's fine. My friend Justin Malone he did Uncle Tom and Uncle Tom 2. They're doing a new one with Epic Times. Like, I'm in that. I'll be wearing a suit. That's exciting for me because it's like, yeah, I've done a lot of stuff, but it would be cool if we made a dope documentary. Maybe I'll get like affiliate money for that. Like if I link people and they click it. But for the most part, I don't even really care. I mean, it would be nice, but if that becomes a cool documentary, that's something outside of what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing, but it's cool to make documentaries. It's cool to do better camera quality stuff. You just got to make sure that you don't lose what you're doing. So, and it's got to be mutually beneficial. So we'll see. If anything, it's just going to be like higher quality stuff. I'm not going to change my format or like change drastically everything I'm doing. I have such a streamline of what I need to do. I would be comfortable with basically keep like writing all my own stuff, taking all my own ideas, and just having, instead of me, like people don't even realize when I go live now, I'm doing stuff behind the scenes. When I go live, the reason I have an intro video that's like a minute, 2 minutes long is because I actually have to do everything. So I'm pressing go. Then I have to go to YouTube. I have to upload the thumbnail. I have to monetize it. I'm doing all this behind the scenes while I'm live. That's why my eyes are always all over the place. Like, does Anomaly have crazy eyes? No, I'm producing my show as I'm doing it. I'm choosing the videos. I'm uploading them. Sometimes I'm doing it while I'm doing it. So if I didn't have to do that, the show would be better, in my opinion. I don't think it would be worse. Like someone else having all that, I just have to say a word, they play the video. Stuff like that. I don't see how it could really hurt, especially, if it's with a company that's really growing, has a lot of employees and stuff. It could be cool, but we'll see. I'll weigh it out, and I'm definitely like, I'm coming from a good place. Someone said Coke eyes admitted it. I have bad lighting. Sometimes I just swam in the ocean, but most of the time my eyes really don't look that crazy in real life. Like sometimes I do look cross-eyed on here. Like people are like, yo, Anomaly's got messed up eyes. If you follow me on Instagram, you could see my eyes are pretty normal. I mean, maybe they're a little weird or something, but it's not that crazy. But my eyes do look crazy on Facebook because my lighting's bad at my place. But also I'm like, my eyes are kind of going nuts because I'm looking. I got a text that says design, styles, text, video. You know what I'm saying? I'm posting it to Twitter, posting it to YouTube while I'm live. So I do kind of look crazy. Someone said, don't sell out. Dude, he's selling the F out. It's not selling out would be, yo, let me take money and I'll just totally lie. Like that's selling out. It's not, it's a business collaboration. Like if I make a documentary, am I selling out because I did an Epic Times documentary? No, I went in there in a suit and I spoke for 2 hours. They didn't write a script. They asked me questions and I answered what I thought. I'm not going to sell out. It's not like, oh, here's money and you can't do this. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And if I can't, I won't do it. So it's not selling out. It's more just building. People, and I'll say this, and then I'm really going to go, people could say, do this, do that. No offense, because obviously without my audience, I'm nothing. And without you watching right now, this is like me talking to myself. So you are a huge part of it. I'm not downplaying that. But as far as the production of it, I've done all this myself for 15 years. I've worked harder in the last 15 years on media stuff than most people will in their life. When I told the person I'm talking to, I'm blowing most people out of the water in engagement. And people are like, I have 50 employees. How many do you have? I have one. It's just me. I have 40 employees. How many? It's just me. They're like, how the hell do you do all that work? Because I work really hard. So it's like, you could tell me, oh, don't do this, don't do that. I can't physically go at the rate I'm going for my whole life. You don't understand how much I'm putting in, how much I'm on the phone and computer. It's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? If you actually care about me, I can't do this forever. When I go on vacation, stuff, I have a blast. I'm not really like I like computers and stuff, but I'm a very social person. I like to be out. I like to do live shows. I performed in front of 10,000 people. Like, I don't want to just be behind a screen doing 15 hours of work every day. I'm not mad at it. It's not like, oh, I'm a victim, but it's like, if I could find somebody to do, like, a better graphic designer to make a thumbnail, a better producer to do the thing. Now I have 4 people that are as great as I am at what I do, at what they do, and we're all working together. It's not selling out. It's basically finding great people that are great at what they do and creating something great. Say what you want about Daily Wire. You might be like, oh, I don't like Daily Wire, but I like Matt Walsh. Well, here's the truth. I know people who are videographers for Daily Wire, and in general, I know a lot of people. Matt Walsh is great, but he couldn't have made that documentary without Daily Wire. So you could say you hate Daily Wire, but if you like that documentary, Daily Wire made it. Matt Walsh thought of it. Daily Wire produced it. Daily Wire filmed it. Daily Wire paid for it. There is no documentary without Matt Walsh. You get what I'm saying? So that's just the reality of how business works. I'm not a Daily Wire type guy. I don't think they'd ever hire me or give me an offer. But with that being said, you know, like, sometimes you have to collaborate with other people to make better things. So you can't do everything by yourself. You could, but if I want to do a beautiful documentary, it would make sense to be with a great graphic designer, a great videographer, a great, you know, entrepreneur, somebody that could take it to the next level. So we'll see. I have a lot of leverage. You know, I have a lot of leverage, and I'm not coming from a place of desperation where I really need to do it or else. So I'm in a great place to really field what would make sense and what wouldn't. And if it makes sense, I might go for it. So that's what it is. Who pays Daily Wire? Someone said originally, I don't know. But now I would say, if you think about their business model, what do they have? Like maybe 1 million subscribers, or I don't know how many subscribers they have on Daily Wire times 10. They're getting $10 million a month just on subscribe. I mean, they built a crazy good business model with that subscription stuff. You know, but you got to have value there. People pay for it. They got documentaries, Matt Walsh's thing, Candace Owens, Jordan Peterson. You know, people could always make their own version of that or make something else. It depends. There's all ways to really do it. Like, some PewDiePie does it by himself. Tim Dillon makes $250,000 a month on a Patreon. Go look. It's public. If you know Tim Dillon, he's a comedian. Go look how much money he makes on Patreon. Because I work 1,000. I think Tim Dillon is hilarious, and I'm not taking anything away from him. I think I work 10 times as hard as Tim Dillon. He's making $250,000 a month on Patreon. I'm not even coming close to that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm breaking my back to claw for this percentage. Yeah, I like what I'm doing. But in general, you could be like, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not, whether I do that or not, I'll just tell you, I'm not going to be doing what I'm doing now for the next 15 years. I can't physically work at this pace. I'm not going to stop. I don't want to stop, but I can't work at this pace. It's just not, it's not possible. It's like, you know, eventually it's like, all right, you got to put certain pieces into it. I'm doing the work of like hundreds of people. When I got an article smear from, what was it? Like, what's the one that's funded by the government? NPR. When NPR smeared me, you know what they were so mad at me for? Even though I posted a CNN vaccine article, they were mad that I was ranked higher than the mainstream media. It's Fox News, Anomaly, CNN, MS. They're pissed at me. Why? Because they have billions of dollars, thousands of employees, hundreds of employees, and I have one employee, and I'm running circles around them. That's why they're pissed at me. So it's like, I can't do this forever, because it's not, you know, I've say what you want. I've been David versus Goliath. I've done it that big. I've gotten 500 million views, if not more. I've gotten billions of minutes watched. I got 2 million plus followers with nothing, with no advertising budget, with no label. Shapiro and Daily Wire spend millions of dollars of advertisements every year. Look at my page and Ben Shapiro's. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, from a marketing perspective, go down and look at the last 10 posts of Ben Shapiro on Facebook, where he has 9 million followers or so. Look at my last 10 posts. My engagement's better than Ben Shapiro's. I deserve at least a fraction of what he's making, but nobody's really giving it to me yet. They're like, oh, I don't, and I get my own money. I'm not crying. I'm just saying I'm fine. I'm doing well. I'm very well off. I'm just saying in general, it's like, oh, he's, Ben's so big. Not really. Look at his Facebook. I'm getting 6 million, 6,000 shares, 7,000 shares. Ben's getting 5 comments. So he's got no engagement. His Facebook is washed. It's like he posts 30 times a day, gets 10 comments, 15 comments. Look at my post. Thousands of comments. I got one of the most powerful and biggest Facebook pages on planet Earth. And, nobody sees the value. So if I could find somebody who sees the value, who wants to plug it into something that's ethical, that's moral, important, I know for some people, but some don't care. Someone that's a Christian, surrounded by Christians, people that I agree with religiously too. I wouldn't say I would only work with Christians or anything, but I'm not, this is not something that's like I'm working for a freaking foreign government or Al Jazeera or something. I'm working for a Christian company that is going to let me do whatever I want, pretty much, say what I want. I'm not selling out. And it's like, I can't do this. Someone said, kiss the ring. I'm not kissing any ring. You can say what you want, but here's the thing. It's easy to comment in the comment section. That's fine. I'm not knocking you, but it's like, you want to work as hard as I did from the time you were 19 to 33 years old. Do you think you could work 1/1000th? Some people have. There's people who do landscaping and stuff who blow me out of the water. I've done landscaping too. I've worked in a grocery store, but I'm just saying, when it comes to media, you can say what you want, but as Drake said, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym, saying you weren't with me training to get. When I was 19 years old, it was just me. And when I was 33 years old, 15 years later, it was just me here, not with the audience. I've been blessed with millions of people. But as far as the production, no one can really tell me anything because I did all of this myself. Very sparingly did I ever have help. A few people have helped me. I could literally count on one hand. And I'm grateful for the short time that they've helped me. But for the most part, that's what it is. So it's not selling out. I'm not kissing the ring. I've already done it big. I'll continue to, and I'm not compromising my values. It's just like, in order to do certain things, you got to work with people. There's only so much I could do by myself. And I'm telling you, for, how much work I put in and how difficult it's been, I don't want to do it for that much longer. I've had fun with my life, but at a certain point, it's more fun to be in a community of people that are working with you. You think it's fun to work 10 hours by yourself? It's not bad. I have friends. I could go do something after work, but it's a lot more rewarding to be in a community with people that are working with you. It's not a sellout. It's more fun. I enjoy being around people, comedians, producers, people who do graphic design. It's fun. It's not selling out. It's like, oh, this is way better than just sitting in my apartment and doing it for 10 years. So, I'll make the right decision, but hopefully I can't guarantee that, but I'm sure I will. And I'm not saying I won't. I'm just saying, like, I could make a statement like that, but it's like, only in hindsight do you really know whether you say yes or no if it was the right decision. But yeah, I'll be good. I'm not like rushing. I'm just letting people know. Someone said, Lord, I was born a rambling man. Me too. I found out that my grandpa, he was in the army, and they called him Gabby because he talked a lot. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. I'm not always like a talkative person, but now that I've talked so much, I got better at it. And I'm like, I talk purposely here, but I'm like, it's in my DNA. My grandpa used to talk too much in the military, and they used to tell him to shut up. So it's like, at least 2 generations down, we've put use to this gift of gab. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one. I'll be back soon, and I'll let you know with updates and stuff. I'll be back with my tech like extremely, extremely soon, doing more high quality videos.